it's me, Brianka J, and today we're going to talk about Nia Sioux's Bottom of the Pyramid. Okay, so are my dance mom fans in the room with me? Are you here? I probably have never had an opportunity where TV and books have like merged together, but so you probably don't know, Dance Moms was that was my TV fix for years, like 7 seasons. I was there. I was focused. Okay, I truly enjoyed all the crazy, all the insane takes. Get your fat finger out of my face.
Out of my face, girls, out the room.
Yeah, you went there.
Get out of my face.
Oh my gosh, really? It's like deja vu.
That are just so good. Pyramid, from first episode to the very last, Miss Nia Sioux was gonna tell her story. Give me a cup, spill your tea. I am front, I am center, I am awake, and I am listening. I want to know all of the dirty details. I was so excited. Like, guys, you don't understand. She said the book was out. I was on Audible hitting download. It was not time in between, okay? That's how interested I was in knowing Miss Nia's story. Before I get into it, let me tell you why. Nia was my only black girl. She was always at the bottom of the pyramid. She never freaking complained. Like, she would get all types of criticism, treated all types of forgotten, and she would always have such a level of grace. And, you know, Holly would oftentimes kind of fight the battles, but Nia was there enduring it on national TV in her formative years. And she displays more grace than I see in grown women and grown men faced with even a fraction of that level of adversity. So, I mean, I'm so proud of just how she did that. That is an inspiration. She's much younger than me, but I love the grace she was able to, the way she was able to withstand so much adversity with so much grace. And I know that has to be because of her parents. So shout out to Holly, shout out to her dad, shout out to her grandfather. All of those people, I'm sure, has helped to form such an incredible young woman. She is really a master class in grace under pressure. I cannot say that enough. Now, I hate that as a young black girl, she had to experience that, because a lot of ways me and Nia's story can overlap. She was always the only black girl in the room on a dance team. I had the opportunity to be the only, you know, black girl on a cheerleading team in my senior year of high school. And in my freshman year, I was like one of 2 or 3 black dancers on a dance team. And I was at the bottom or the back. I was not, you know, super talented. I hadn't had extra opportunities, anything, right? So I get it. I know what that feels like. One, you're not very much the best, but you're also being othered because you're the only one of your, you know, your race, and the kids don't make an effort to be your friend. They treat you differently. Those things are really real things that happen to people in the world. I went to a 98% Hispanic high school for 4 years. I work at an all-white job now, only black person. There is going to be so many times in life where you're going to be the only person of color. But the difference between, you know, me and Nia was that I had the opportunity. I went to an all-black elementary school and all-black middle school. So by the time I started feeling like, oh, I'm one of one in this room, I had fortunately had the opportunity to know that I wasn't strange. I wasn't unusual. There was nothing wrong with me. You know, I just didn't fit into this particular group. And that's something Nia didn't get to experience. And I felt bad for that, because as Nia tells her story, she talks about how she grew up in the city of Pittsburgh, and it was kind of like an all-white city. And so she goes to a dance studio, and again, she's kind of like the only black girl, and she doesn't have many friends at school. And so Dance Moms is really where she gets most of her social opportunities, and is kind of getting these racial dynamics that she's just too young to understand. And that's so hurtful because she's trying to navigate her social life and these social moments and friendship in a time where it's so important to you. And she doesn't understand these racial barriers that are coming up because why would a teenage girl in an all-white city even know that kind of stuff? I'm sure it wasn't taught in her curriculum. All she had was her mom, dad, and grandfathers to kind of help her navigate. But again, she didn't have a huge. I'm from a city like Houston. We have a huge portion of the city that's designated to blacks and wealth, and black people in Houston, baby, shout out to y'all. We're doing good, okay? I've seen black people have money. I've seen black people have successful careers. I've seen black wealth. I've seen it. So I don't feel this otherness. I live in Cincinnati now, which is very different. And I'm not saying bad. Like it's okay to be the one of. We're a 13% population, so I never expect like, oh, I'm gonna find this huge black community and that's the only way I can be there. No, I don't need that to be successful. I'm okay pioneering rooms and different spaces, but needless to say, it is different. And so for Nia to be going through that from 6 to 16, crazy. And to do it so well and to do it so comfortably and to do it on TV, that's a one. Is that where I'm saying like this is too much for a little girl. So the first instance was when she's like 6 years old. She gets her first opportunity to do a solo, and the solo is called Natty of the Jungle, and she's meant to be the dancer depicting a girl who was raised by monkeys, and she would do this little monkey sounds on stage and different things, and she thought it was so fun and cute, but her mom was like very taken aback by the request, like why would you want that, and then there was another one called Satan's Little Lamb, and then Holly again didn't want her to do it because she's a girl. But why are you depicting my daughter as a jungle freak or a Satan worshiper? What's going on? And everybody was trying to gaslight Holly into thinking like it's not that big a deal. And Nia says her mom was really strongly against her doing it. The only reason she got to do it was because Nia begged her so much. And I understood why Nia begged her, because she just saw it as an opportunity to be seen, an opportunity to do what she loved. She doesn't know about these racial issues. She's 6. She doesn't know or understand, or nor does she deserve to know or understand, or none. Honestly, let me stop and say, black children deserve a world that allows them space to grow and learn and be heard and explore just as much as any other child. If other children can play and have fun and be considered a kid, I think it's fair enough to say that black children deserve the same thing. And this book is a representation of how that's not always the reality we see. So, she's getting typecasted in these roles that depict her as an animal and a devil worshiper. And Holly's uncomfortable early in. Like 6 years old, Holly's uncomfortable. It's Nia wanting to be included that gets her through those barriers, right? Not understanding. She talks about how she got sick at one point and she had this condition where she couldn't walk, and how she understands, transmits pain neurologically. There's an issue, and it kind of comes up on the show in like one episode. But what Nia says is like, no, this was an ongoing thing, and she had to learn like rehab, and she had to learn how to walk again, had to learn how to think about pain differently. And she had to learn all these skills, right, to kind of show up. But she said those skills actually helped make her a lot more resilient overall, and it allowed to change her perspective and her experiences differently. And it was one of those experiences that was painful, but they kind of brought her into a better understanding of the world as she kind of navigated more. So that happened. She had this temporary paralysis, but she overcomes it. She comes back to the studio. She's dancing again. And they get this opportunity to do Dance Moms, and it's like a big deal. And she said she had to audition, and she was super happy. She's like, her mom didn't want to do it again. Her mom didn't want to do it. She was like, it's a really bad contract. I don't know if this is for us, but Nia wants to be included. She wants this. She wants to be a star. And so ultimately they go to the audition. She's picked. She's excited. She talks about how she had done her makeup and she was looking crazy, had the tiara on, all this stuff, and she gets the role. And she talks about how Abby Lee, from the beginning, did not want her included in that opportunity. she tells her like she doesn't tell her, but Nia says she feels like Abby only wanted a certain subset of girls with a certain look, and she kind of all wanted them to be uniform, and that Nia's existence kind of diminished that opportunity for Abby. And at one point, Abby says like she never wanted a Tootie, as in like I think that's the role Janet Jackson played on What Is It? The Simple Fact. Basically, I never wanted a little black girl. Really hurtful. A lot of the stuff that is said is not shielded from Nia. Like she is around and she has to kind of take it in, digest it, and get back to dance. Like take it in, digest it, and get back to dance. So she talks about like how that would play out for her. But she says it was really hard for her, but also just Abby was a big fear for everybody, to the point that the moms had band together and got them a child therapist so that they would have the opportunities to cope better, even if they would be on the show. And so they got that. And she talks about how those opportunities with the therapist taught her new coping mechanisms, new ways to see the world, new ways to work on things. But it didn't really change anything with Abby. Abby was still very much a terrible person to be around. She was still, inflicting fear in all of the girls. She was teaching them like kind of cry on your pillow, and just this really rough way of being. And she said it was really like everything we saw on TV was like brushed down. Like this was like they were terrified. But for TV, and if the therapist around, Abby would act a lot more human and normal and easier to deal with. But overall, she was really terrifying for all of the girls, not just her. She said she loved hanging with the girls more than anything, and that was probably the reason she stayed working at that studio for so long, because she really wanted to be included and she loved hanging with the girls. But she also notes that didn't always cross over for them. Like she was like the backup friend for a lot of them. The friend that was called when someone else wasn't available. She was, you can come if you want type of friend, but never really invited initially. And she said a lot of it did have to do with the racial differences, them not having the tools to navigate race, and then them falling into cliques and having this, I like her and I like her, and Nia just never really being included. Was it partially because she wasn't the strongest dancer? I could say maybe, but also because she was different from everyone, and it left her kind of alone. She said she had Chloe. Chloe was her neighbor, and she had Chloe, and she was very thankful for her relationship to Chloe. She had Mackenzie. Mackenzie was the youngest one on the show. If you remember, Mackenzie was like 4 or 5 years younger than everybody, and so she was always kind of picked on and othered for being the smallest. So she had Mackenzie, and then when JoJo came, over time, her and JoJo made a friendship. But if you think about it, if you're familiar with the show, everyone she kind of is friends with is people that have been othered. You have Chloe had this othering because she wasn't Maddie, so she wasn't the favorite. She kind of always got pushed aside. You had Mackenzie getting othered because she was the baby. Then you had JoJo. They were making fun of her because she had a speech impediment. The problem with this wasn't the girls creating this pecking order. It was Abby. If you remember, Abby Lee was always creating this pecking order and giving these girls nasty criticism in front of all of their friends. Well, the girls would all ingest this criticism and then decide on how they treated you based on how much Abby liked you. So Nia stayed at the bottom of the pyramid a lot, and she was always kind of the backup friend. And she said girls would say they didn't remember to include her, and she just kind of felt bad. And she notes 2 different instances, I believe, where she would, no, 3 actually, where she would just purposely not include it, that she finally had to say, oh, okay, I see what this is. I think the first time it was just very something like she wasn't invited to do, what was it that they wanted to do? I don't remember the first one. One of them was the YouTuber. She was asking everybody, hey, what are you doing after this? What are we gonna do later? You wanna hang out? And everybody was like, oh, I don't know. I'll give you a call. I'll let you know. I'm not sure. We don't know. I don't think my mom's gonna let me do anything. And she was like, oh, okay. She goes home. She's hanging out with her mom. Her mom have a good night in. She checks social media and she sees that all of the girls are out hanging out with this popular YouTuber. And she's devastated. I mean, she starts crying. She's unconsolable. And her mom is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she kind of consoles her, and she tells the moms about it, and everybody gaslights her and makes her seem crazy. And she says her mom is the one that kind of fixed it for her and allowed her to, made sure she got the opportunity to hang out and bring that back around. And the YouTubers had no idea that had happened, and they were so embarrassed. There was another time where they all went to go see Taylor Swift, and they left Nia out, as usual, and she felt really bad, and Holly comes to save the day and buys Nia tickets to a different show, and she said she didn't get to go backstage and didn't do all the things the other girls did, but, her mom did try to make it right as much as she could. But it doesn't take away the sting of just not being included. And she said she would have bought her own ticket. She would have happily, did whatever needed to be done to be there. And she just didn't get the chance. And she said for that reason, she, as she got older, she made sure to include JoJo when there was an opportunity to include her, which is why JoJo was in her music video, which is why her and JoJo made a relationship, because nobody else was doing it. And Nia already felt othered. And so she saw what was happening to JoJo, and she didn't feel the need to be on the mean side of things to get included, rather than, be a friend where a friend is needed. And that's how her and JoJo came to be. She also said she was really good friends with Mackenzie, and she was good friends with Chloe, but she knows that, she could tell certain girls like Kendall, when they were paired together, Kendall would hate to dance with her and make her feel bad, which I thought was funny, because I never was a big fan of Kendall. I didn't think she was a fantastic dancer or a fantastic person. She was very mean on the show, and it came out a lot in different ways. So, I hope she's doing well. Hope she's had time to grow. But overall, what a witch. But also, we see Nia being very adult in this book. Like, she's so mature, and it's sad. It's a little bit sad to me, because I feel like she would have every right to have pain or anger or hatred or bitterness, but she keeps showing grace in this adultified way that I think Black girls are taught to do very early, where she doesn't blame anybody. She still loves everybody. She hopes that they've grown from these opportunities. She realizes they were just kids and they didn't know any better, and after certain events in life, they've had time to improve and check themselves and become better people. She says, other than the ones who haven't, which I thought she was definitely talking about Kalani. I think she was talking about Kendall. She didn't really name drop, though. She does say, though, that was just the underbelly of competition. She, being the only Black girl was kind of normal in that environment. Being the token Black girl, being the other person. She said in that environment, it was so few people of color that competitive dance is very expensive. It's very time consuming. And it would be very few Black girls there. And sometimes they would try to say, oh, it's because Black girls don't have good feet, or Black girls don't have the bodies to do this, or they don't have the skill to do that. And she said that she couldn't think that was any further from the truth. And she was happy for people that she did get to meet, like Debbie Allen, who helped her learn dance and brought her into a Black environment. She was thankful for Aubrey O'Day for, telling her she was a great singer and helping her thrive and thinking about her music career. And she actually said that Aubrey O'Day was offered $10,000 by Abby to not help her. And she did this in front of everybody in the room on a phone call. And it was super embarrassing and humiliating. And she says, Aubrey called her personally and said, yeah, that's not gonna fly with me. I'm gonna help you. And so, wow, right? The mean shit an adult woman can do to a little girl is bananas. And I don't understand Abby for some of the things she did. I never will. And though I'm a fan of the show, I never thought Abby was a particularly good person. So don't think that I was like shocked. The microaggression she got from Abby, the microaggression she got from Jill, from Kendall, all of that par for the course. I'm not shocked by any of it. The being left out, how mad Abby kind of made sure it was that way, not surprised. What surprises me is how much grace that Nia continues to show. And I get that, she doesn't want to ruin her name with a bunch of bad press, and she's still working in the industry, and she's dancing on Broadway now, and she's, you know, done a lot of different TV consulting opportunities, and she gets brand deals, and she's on YouTube, and she's on TikTok, and she still has a lot of opportunities that came from her time on Dance Moms. So she has nothing negative to say about Dance Moms, really. But it's not something that she looks back on with complete delight. It was painful. It was a hurtful time, and that's why she didn't do the reunion, because she wanted the time to tell her story in a way that reflected what she felt. She didn't want to bash anyone, but she did want to tell her story. And I was thankful for Nia for telling her story, for shining a light on, you know, that otherness, that only Black girl feeling, that left out feeling. I can tell you that I know how that feels, and I hated to watch it on TV, and I hated reading about it because it reminds me of what happened to me. And I was just lucky enough to have a sense of self before I got into those rooms, that those rooms didn't shake me as much. But I can still think of times where I was left devastated and did not know how to handle an event. How few adults really step in to guide people and show them kindness and show a reflection of the world they want to see. And but Nia is only, I think she's like less than 25, and she's navigating the world in a way that shines a light on this stuff. And her role on TV, though it was just being herself, I think it probably pivoted the life for so many little girls who were in these all white towns and all white studios. They're the only Black girl on the dance team, and felt like they could handle it a little bit better because Nia was handling it so well. And how to be a graceful woman in a room, even when people aren't being so kind to you, and, you know, not throwing the tantrum, not spilling the hate, not being nasty on social media, just always rising above it. Like, if Nia would decide, like, okay, I'm gonna be in politics, I'd say, okay, girl, because you got the personality for it. You are so graceful. You are so mature. It's surprising to me that she's probably 10 years younger than me, because if I was writing a book, but spilled the filth, and I mean, I would have you would still be knowing about me dragging a bitch down the street. I'm talking about dragging a bitch. So, Nia, you are a better woman than me. Thank you so much for sharing your story. If you guys haven't read the book yet, you can find it in my description box. Be sure to actually press purchase so I can get a little bit of that coin, affiliate marketing. But other than that, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying tuned, and I will catch you next time.